Tommy C here, Shot for the Point News, a breaking news update. Yeah, it's more Onision, or rather what's becoming a lot more interesting is the investigation itself. Chris Hansen, just a little over an hour ago, putting out a video, Twitter video, on his recent trip to Onision'S house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go right up there. We did a video about 2 hours ago explaining Chris's trip to Onision'S house. Let's go check it out.
Been a busy week. I traveled across the country to try to talk to Gregory Jackson Onision. Knocked on his door. Did he talk to me? No, Greg called 911. Still, I learned an awful lot in my investigation as to what's been going on inside that house. You'll find out more in the days to come. I'm going to give it to you all. Stay tuned. This is something you must see here on social media and my YouTube channel. Have a seat with Chris Hansen. See you soon.
Okay. Now, I mentioned in the last video before that there's folks are getting a little impatient, and some are starting to question the investigation itself, especially since some information's come out from Chris Hansen's partner, Mr. Vincent Dakota. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Apparently, I can't say Italian names for some reason. And here's some interesting comments here. Don't you think you're taking this a bit far, Chris? From Josh Pescator, Nerd City, another powerful YouTuber. As funny as it is, we don't like ambush interviews or house doxing on YouTube. I hope this is the last time you do that, but otherwise, please do proceed with peeling the onion. And apparently, Billy the Fridge wants to have a chat. He's probably doing a podcast right now, if I had to guess. Now, I like I said, I'm noticing a lot of, I think some of it has to do with Chris promised some results that he's not getting. And I've even seen the accusation on the internet. That's one of the reasons he flew to Onision'S house to give him an old knock on the door. Here's the question I ask you. Nerd City's correct. There's such a thing, don't like the doxing stuff, don't like the ambush interviews, don't like anything to do with anybody's house on the internet. Let me pose this to you. If this was a celebrity that had nothing to do with the interview and Chris Hansen knocked on the door, which he has every right to do, to ring the bell, would we be outraged right now? Probably not, considering some of the allegations. I do find it a little weird that, and I guess even Onision'S under this sort of code or this umbrella, that some, and Nerd City is echoing, oh, he's got 200 likes here. Nerd City is echoing what a lot of folks on the internet feel. It's a lot different than mainstream news, but he is a reporter. He simply knocked on the door. Anybody has a right to knock on Onision'S door. And I think as long as he makes an effort not to give the actual address, I don't know how it's different than anybody else. I mean, Onision is not exactly, I think the public figure thing has to come to it. If you're going to somebody's house that has 1,000 subs, yeah, but we're talking about somebody who was in the borderline YouTube royalty at one point, knocking on your house and, being asked to leave. And I guess Onision decided to call the cops. I feel like that's an intimidation. Unless for some reason Chris, wouldn't leave. Is there anything really wrong with that? Isn't that investigative reporting? Haven't you seen that on your local news? Would you like to talk about the crime you've been charged with? Why doesn't Onision get a pass and like Joe Blow that has his mechanic company ripped a bunch of people off? Growing up in the New York area, I don't know how many times I saw investigative reporting where people knocked the house and tried to ask some questions. Then sometimes it would end up, get out or I'll call the police. What's the difference? I think if where Nerd City's wrong, this was not doxing. Unless he went out of his way. Oh, he lives on, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I'd like to hear from you. I personally don't have a problem with it due to the fact that Onision is a very large public figure. And ask yourself, would you have a problem with it if he was accused of something more serious? I don't know. I don't think that he's going to make any friends doing this in the YouTube community, because the YouTube community is not going to tolerate this. But I have to ask the question. This is not, in the real world, if you do something like this, a reporter might knock on your door and ask you, what's up? And as long as you're not putting his information out there so he can be doxxed or harassed, and knocking on somebody's door asking him to talk is not harassment. Especially if you leave when you're told to leave. And he clearly was not picked up by the cops. So it's more of a question I'm asking you. Should Onision get a break that virtually nobody else would under these circumstances? Or no other celebrity would that's not in the YouTube sphere? Something to think about. But as far as it's concerned, if if I'm somehow unaware of this, if Chris gave out his personal information and wink, wink, make him crazy, well, that's a whole different story. But that's not what I see. I see a reporter going to a house, knocking on a door. That's all I see. So I'd like to hear from you. I also like you to like, sub, share, all that good stuff. Help me grow. I would appreciate it. You guys have been super supportive, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and I'm probably going to join it when I see where you guys are coming from. Give me some good comments, and I'll respond to them. Let's have an argument. That's not so negative. Let's have a healthy argument, and tell me where you stand on this particular issue. I'm Tommy C, and I'm out of here.